Go first in the world, go forth with your fears. Remember, a price must be paid. Be always too soon, be never too fast at the time when all bets must be laid. Beware of the darkness, be kind to your children. Remember the woman who waits. And the house you live in will never fall down if you pity the stranger who stands at your gates. When you're caught by the gale and you're full under sail, beware of the dangers below. And the song that you sing should not be too sad, and be sure not to sing it too slow. Be calm in the face of all common disgraces and know what they're doing it for. And the house you live in will never fall down if you pity the stranger who stands at your door.
What in the Dick Van Clark?
That was my tribute to a man, rest in power, yesterday.
Mr. Lightfoot.
Gordon motherfucking Lightfoot.
Mr. Lightfoot.
Gordon Lightfoot.
Cheers.
Cheers. Rest in power. Canadian as fuck. Right? I can absolutely say that. Yeah, that too. But you know, I'm trying to be hip with the kids, RaShaun. I'm trying to be hip with the kids. Canadian as fucked, man.
No, you're definitely gonna be hip with the kids by starting off with a nice Gordon Lightfoot hit.
Right? Yeah,
that's definitely how you're gonna reach them.
Fuck yeah, man. But
saw that all over TikTok.
Past that just yesterday. But I feel like that song was like a nice little like instruction manual just for,
it was beautiful.
Like, for just some chill shit in that Canadian folk rock. Also, rest in power, Harry Belafonte. That happened last week while we were recording, so wasn't able to get that in there. But also, I will not.
Really did not like it.
I can handle Gordon's range. I cannot handle Harry's range. I'm not gonna if I bust out with Deo, that's just gonna sound like I'm just gonna be an asshole. I'm not gonna do that.
You're gonna sound like a few things.
I'm gonna sound like an asshole, so I'm not gonna do that.
You're gonna sound like your hair just got.
There you go, Greg. All right, he's handling some of it. That's it. Yeah, Greg, you got the Calypso background. Come on, man. You got this. Take it away.
I don't actually know all the words.
You know how all white people learned Terry Belafonte was from Beetlejuice. That's how that worked out after Beetlejuice. We're like, hey, this Harry Belafonte guy's pretty cool.
I do have to, shout out to at least one of the neighborhoods I lived in Framingham. I have to say that's not the case for the white people I was around when I first saw that movie. They knew that song right when they started hearing the beat.
All right, there you go. We're on it. All right. I'm glad to see white people representing and not being, like myself.
There you go, you guys.
F-Town, what are you going to do?
F-Town. But yes, shout out to Gordon Lightfoot as we're kicking off the show. We are the Steam Gentlemen back in the Steam tunnels together, hanging out, saying hi to each other. My name is Josh. I go by the moniker The Birdman. We are here to talk pop culture and social commentary. Let me introduce you to my co-hosts. First off, it is the star child himself, the man with the plan, Gregory Descents. How you doing today, Greg?
I'm still thinking about that beautiful rendition you just did right there. I'm feeling good. I think you set it off. You set it off just right this time.
Well, that makes me feel all warm and fuzzy. That's definitely what I was going for. That music definitely, and RaShaun, I think you can relate to this. That was, a lot of the music of my father, right? So I can totally remember listening to things like that, sitting on my daddy's.
Are you trying to set me up? What?
Well, it's like, that was something your father.
My father listened to music too.
And that too, right? The boxes and boxes.
You went into this by saying white people found out about that song because of Beetlejuice, and now you lead me into the music of your father.
Well, white people always knew about Gordon Lightfoot. Come on now.
Just turn it into some Maury Povich shit, man. We gonna find out who your real dad is? Is it Greg?
Oh, Greg's my dad. Come on, we know that. Greg's the dad I always wanted. That's for damn sure. That's for damn sure. I would, yeah, I 100%. I wish, Greg, you are the father.
So our child is a little doting towards you. That's for sure.
We're all good with
I'll
that.
step into those shoes, man.
That's all good. I would have taken that any day. But the
He's
wonderful
ignoring
sounds
us
you
like
hear,
a dad.
the wonderful sounds you hear are of my second co-host, the man with the plan, the Ayatollah of rock and rolla, the three of clubs himself, RaShaun Smith. Tell the people how you doing today.
Yeah, I'm not singing. Nice shot. That was good though. What to do? How to do? Happy to be with all of you. This is sincerely the highlight of my week. Well, second highlight. My main highlight is getting drunk with my wife at the end of the week. But this is a solid second.
Yay.
Solid
Wow.
second, not in the way that Mr. Fink just called me the second co-host. Solid second in the sense of, how parents feel about multiple children.
And that's how we all feel about each other. That's how we feel, right? We're all, it's just a
Pretty sure that's how my parents always ranked me. My dad had 5 kids, and I'm pretty sure I was always solid second. Like, RaShaun, he's a solid, second kid, maybe third.
I mean, you're on the list.
I'm on the list.
Podium.
Yeah.
You took the podium, dude. You took the podium.
That's because he lost all his records during that hurricane in '91. So if he still had those vinyls, and also alive, but if he still had those vinyls, I'd probably be squarely number 7. Don't ask me who number 6 is. I don't need that pain.
I feel
I would like to take a second shout out to my great uncle David, who passed away this past weekend. The man was a fashion icon. He was the first person I saw with blown out straight hair. Well before I saw it on Prince or any of those guys. So he's going to be greatly missed. Uncle David, I love you. Miss you. Rest in power. Have fun.
Respect Uncle David.
Respect Uncle David. And
have fun with that hair salon in the sky, because I know you're already trying to get a couple of angels in some sort of pimp curl. So
love it. Love it,
man.
Rock your style, Uncle David. Appreciate it.
Respect Uncle David.
Respect, rest in power. Like I say, a nice homecoming. So take it to it. I wanted to get in just a few notes before we begin. I took the kids to see Return of the Jedi this weekend. And I did, because it's out again, 40th anniversary. It's out through Friday or Thursday this week, May the 4th. So they brought it back out. Put it on a big screen print. It's the first time the kids had seen it on a big screen. So that was fun and exciting for them. They got to see the sequel trilogy. Easy, Greg. Before, but this is the first time they'd seen the original trilogy in an old print. But I have some notes because I was watching this one. I've seen this movie a few times, as you may know. Kind of goes back to our first episode. The
Ewoks are fucking on point.
The Ewoks are still the baddest motherfuckers in the galaxy. But one of them was legit humping Han Solo's leg. I just want to say that right now, like that. And it was wicked too. At one point,
What's our phrase, Greg?
We don't kink shame.
There you go. Just wanted to point it out that it was a note.
That's for planet Earth. That's for galaxy.
I want to say, personally, on that personal level, that everyone always calls Darth Vader Space Hitler. I think he's more like Space Himmler,
okay.
Or
fair,
maybe
fair
Space Eichmann. I
think
I've said that before. Yeah, I think he would be more along those lines.
We have to work that hard.
But it's fun. I mean,
right.
What else are we doing here? We're showing up here. This
I don't know if we need to entertain Nazi connections.
Well, I
mean they're so Nazi though.
Yeah, I mean, to the people of the by the way, I just happened to see that on a take. To the people who cosplay in the 501st, I don't think you're Nazis. That's cool. I know you go to children's hospitals and shit, so keep doing that shit. Buy your stormtrooper armor. That's totally cool. I don't think you're actual Nazis.
What were your other notes, Birdman?
Okay. Most importantly, there's a meme going around right now. And it shows Carrie Fisher putting her left hand on Harrison Ford's right shoulder. And if you look at it, the pinky nail is extra long because it's 1983 and she's looking extra skinny and all of that. Now, it being the internet, I wasn't sure about it. I'm just gonna say that right now because people Photoshop shit
So
all the
sweet
time.
of you.
It's like I'm like, So I just happened to make sure because I know the scene. I know exactly where it is. It's a pretty clear shot. It's not that hard to find. And sure enough, I'm seeing it in giant, like 2-story reality. That fucking cocaine nail is real, man. That shit was real. That pinky nail is extra long.
I think we knew that though.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean,
I don't know where the mystery is. She literally talked about how that almost ruined her absolute career and her life.
I realized that, but just in case, I had to double check. I just wanted to do my own research. Okay, so
I mean, yeah, we knew that. Like I mean, first of all, think about when she was famous. Secondly, she was fucking hot, and thirdly,
Harrison Ford,
cocaine.
Harrison Ford.
Harrison Ford.
Harrison Ford has so many we told a couple of get high Harrison Ford stories on this podcast. The dude was a walking 8-ball. Like if he wasn't drinking or snorting, he was smoking. Like dude stayed with the ganj. So I mean, hanging out with that dude, well, we all got vices.
Yeah, but so that I was at least glad to confirm that indeed the cocaine nail 100% real, not just internet pablum, because it's a different time now. Things have changed, man. I don't even quite know. I want to at least take my time and check it out.
Lando's like, these white people are crazy.
They got cocaine in this house.
They got cocaine in this house.
Drugs all over the place.
I think the other biggest salient point I took Chewy. Well, what have we here? I think the biggest point I took away from the in-universe point is that the healthcare system in Star Wars is even more busted than the American healthcare system.
What?
Now, stick with me on this one, okay? All right, Empire Strikes Back. Luke gets his hand chopped off, just like his daddy. I guess it's a family thing. And he gets a new hand. Looks right. They got a nice little cover on it, robotic cover. It's there. It looks, it clearly they test his nerve endings. It's all good. That's the one of the very last shots in Empire Strikes Back. Well, open in Return of the Jedi. Luke is kicking all ass on Jabba's sail barge, and he gets shot in the hand, exposing some of the internal workings of his robotic hand, right? Can Luke go out and apparently pay his copay and get the coverage on the hand? No, absolutely not. Right? Luke carries that thing around like a busted fucking iPhone for the rest of his life. Okay. In the movie, he's got to throw a black glove on that at one point to make the comparison when he looks at his hand and sees that he's a lot like Darth Vader, right? looking at the robotic emplacements. Never mind what Vader got put through, and clearly couldn't afford to pay his copay for any cosmetic surgery or anything like that. That would have clearly bankrupted him. But he takes that all the way into the sequel trilogy, where he's just let all the fake skin fall off of it, and it's an exposed robotic hand. Apparently, the copays are just too high, and he's just gonna be like, "Fuck it, I'm riding with this robotic hand for the rest of this busted robotic hand."
We're talking about my life. You're talking about a universe where there's Bacta tanks. We'll start there, by the way. And second, If it was our insurance, there's no fucking way he even has a hand at this point. He's still in queue. And third of all, let's not act like the man wasn't busy. Like, are we acting like some effed up spouses? Like, Luke, you didn't take out the trash. You didn't do this. Like, the dude was out trying to save the universe. He may not have had time to make that fucking scheduled appointment with his doctor for a consultation. And then on top of that, similar to the symbolism of the black glove, maybe he let the hand deteriorate to kind of show his feeling and connection to not only the Jedi Order, but the fight that had got him to that spot to begin with.
Oh, now you got to go all spiritual on me. I was just going with there was probably a lull between the destruction of the second Death Star and the other trilogy, which was 30 years. I figured he could have, like, I don't know, gone to one of those kiosks, those We Fix It kiosks. Like, in there any of those? In there any of those?
But the guy has a perfectly synthetic hand. You want him to stop at one of them kiosks and
I'm just that's
I
something.
was about to keep going with that, but I'll
But
be quiet.
I'm with you. I actually think you make a really solid point, which is, tripping me up. But that's what I come to you for. Honestly, I come to you for those counterpoints. I come to you for that other idea. Greg, what do you want to say?
Oh, I was absolutely fine with that. I didn't think that I didn't want to be that guy who just came in and said, or bad writing.
Again, we're in
You
this team
called me.
tunnel.
I was happily sitting here waiting for Panda to jump back in the camera, and then you had to call me in. Like I was letting you guys do that, and then you had to kill it. What my answer is going to be.
Exactly. Shitty writing.
Shitty writing. The hand was fine. It was all right. And he went on to save the galaxy. As you do.
As one does. As one does.
Yeah, as you do.
Yeah, RaShaun, as always, giving me the fuller spiritual picture that I have to begrudgingly agree with. And Greg, I was like, all right, but I think it's super cool that you took
I think it's super cool that you took your kids to go see Star Wars on the big screen for a lot of different reasons.
No bullshit. I would have gone. I love Return of the Jedi. I really don't even have a problem with the ones that added in the awkward CG. I was like, as opposed to the awkward animatronics and the other awkward special effects throughout the entire movie. And don't forget,
they definitely pushed that
awkward acting. Like you're going to be like, oh man, that alien doesn't belong. Shut the fuck up, man.
They added more.
It's a Muppet Show out of control.
Worse.
They added another shot, by the way, Greg. They added a shot of Sebulba. They added a shot of Sebulba, the pod racing dude who walks on his hands with his feet up into Jabba's palace, which was not there in 1997 when they did the special edition.
Oh, so that's your first time seeing the remakes?
I guess so. Yeah, I did. Yeah, maybe they put it in somewhere else there, but
it's like the last iterations that they did 4, 5, and 6. It as bad as the stuff they did in '99 with what's that light and sound. That
industrial light and magic.
Light and magic, as bad as that stuff. And then 2006, I think they took a shot. There was another iteration where they added even more shit. It's just awful. Quick point, 2 points with Return of the Jedi that I always think about. Well, actually, one kind of brought to the forefront. One, there was a clip actually going around about news interview of people going to see it live when it came out in 1984. And basically the caption of the clip was, it's hilarious how, no offense to this group, some people in the group who may listen to us and don't subscribe to everyone else in this group, but basically the guy's like, it's funny how nerdy white guys convinced the world that they were the only harbingers of sci-fi culture. Because the clip is like, they interviewed 20-something people. I would have to argue at least over the majority of them were not white. And the other cool part was like, it was a sincerely like connected crowd. Everyone was just there to have a good time. Obviously you edit out the bad shit, blah, blah, blah. It was really nice to see. And then the other point with Return of Jedi, I can never lose sight of. And the reason why I can't hate Jar Jar Binks as much as I want to, because I would love to fucking hate that character so much. I'm my best. You deserve better, but I hate that character. My brother quickly points this out to me. That was the Ewoks to him.
100%.
Someone 7 years older than me watching Return of Jedi, that was Ewoks to him, because I made a comment to him while my little nephew was watching and loving everything Jar Jar. I'm like, what is going on with my nephew? I need to step in. My brother's like, oh, wait a second. You think I like the Ewoks? You think anyone older? You think Dad liked the Ewoks? No, I fucking like the Ewoks. Are you out of your mind? Like they were for you. They were to make sure you keep watching Star Wars. And he was right. I kept watching Star Wars, and for a period of time, the Ewoks were my favorite characters.
Yup.
They know what to do.
Well, I think this segues us beautifully into what we came here to talk about today, which was we're going back to that moment. We're trying to go back. It's been a moment. We're trying to go back to that moment, and we're thinking about something that did happen, a moment that did happen, a moment in time that was unique in pop culture and our society, something that happened before that just isn't going to happen again, or very unlikely to. Or if it does, it's certainly going to be in a different way. We wanted to go and find those moments that were, exactly. These latchkey kids that we were watching Star Wars on VHS 118,000 gajillion times. Whatever it was for each and every one of us, what was it that sort of captured our imagination that did happen, but we don't see it happening again, or we feel it's going to be unlikely in our lifetime. We'll have shuffled off this mortal coil like Gordon motherfucking Lightfoot, right? So who knows? It'll be beyond our time. So this was Greg's idea. Greg, we're putting this on you. So we're gonna throw you under the bus first. Gregory, step on up to the plate for your 10 minutes of fame.
It could be like a philosophical question. It could be, say, times change. So obviously a lot of things probably will never happen again and never happen in the same way or have the same social effect. But let's talk about things that genuinely will not happen. The dynamic of entertainment has changed. Streaming services, tons and tons and too many options for music and TV and sports. So for now, we can say that as long as the almighty algorithm is really in charge, then a lot of things just really aren't going to happen. And again, of course, times change. For example, movies. I say movies, a lot of things shouldn't happen again. Cannibal Holocaust, we're looking at you. And a lot of things probably would never happen again, like any movie by John Waters or Orgasmo or, Welcome to the Dollhouse or any movie by David Lynch. A lot of those things probably will never happen again because, they happened, they had their moment and they had their effect. But things that just genuinely will never happen again, I had to fall back on probably the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Like, we don't appreciate what a massive accomplishment the Marvel Cinematic Universe is. 22 films in 12 years, all of them interconnected. I'm only counting from Iron Man to Infinity War because, Endgame, because, we've moved on to like sidekicks and side characters. It's done. I don't care how many phases they come out with. It's done. So just that by itself will never happen again. I mean, that was something that was always hinted at by comic book and fantasy nerds and sci-fi nerds, that it would be possible, but no one ever thought that it would happen. And they definitely didn't think that it would happen on a large scale done well. Like, this is top of the line, and definitely the idea that it would take over, that all of a sudden we'd be infested with comic book content left and right, for better or for worse. So I'm going to say that absolutely will never happen again. And again, getting away from all of the CGI, it is a massive cinematic achievement that probably will never, that I can't see ever happening again. In music, again, tons of examples. I can go from, Lou Reed to Gigi Allen. Like, a lot of things just will not or should not happen again. A lot of things politically probably will never happen again. I don't think you're ever going to see like rap groups as political as Public Enemy ever again, like that kind of music. It'll never happen again. Where to even start with all of the firsts and all of the lasts in music? I wanted to do something controversial. I wanted to say Woodstock will never happen again. Now I know what you're thinking. There literally was another Woodstock. Yes, just to prove that it should not and did not really happen again. What happened with the original Woodstock? First of all, this wasn't a mega church. This wasn't a war rally. This isn't usually the kind of thing that you can get this many people to get together and cooperate about, especially in the United States around that time. Like, this was a very special window and look into what was the best, you could say the best moment of the Love generation, not because it went smoothly, because it did not. There's a lot of documentaries about Woodstock. Feel free to pick one up. It did not go smoothly, but the point was that there was a communal feeling of cooperation. Like, these people knew that this was going to be about the music. They set up tents. There was a medical attention available. There was food available, and it should have been what the governor was ready to take down. The National Guard was like ready to go, and one of the promoters for Woodstock was keeping them back because it was happening, and for whatever reason, it was working. And I think all of the attempts to do it again just prove that no, this was a moment that you're never going to capture again. And it was a beautiful thing. I have it's like a 4-hour Woodstock documentary. I love it. I love it. In sports, again, there's a lot of examples in sports. Manchester United, 20 championships. Probably will never happen again. The Yankees, I heard they won some shit. Who knows? Never know. Don't know. I'm going to say the number one thing that will never happen again, Bill Russell. You're never going to have, first of all, that many championships. I mean, come on now. And winning a championship when you coached and played, that definitely will never happen again. I was also thinking possibly of Nolan Ryan's record, but not a huge baseball guy. But Bill Russell, Boston Celtics, let it be known, the only reason Boston can call itself the city of champions is because of the contribution of Bill Russell. Let it be known. Let it be known. And for TV, again, a lot of examples. There have been a lot of controversial TV shows. There are things that, were kind of done again, but then, milked to death, say whatever the effect, all of these complex characters and high drama bring to the table, but nothing will ever beat MASH. They will never do that shit again. A TV show that is just a season after season send up of war, and not just war, every aspect, the industrial complex, the politicians, the Korean side, the American side, all of their allies, they take shots at everyone. And then of course, characters like Klinger. Jesus Christ. I mean, if Klinger is not telling, especially right now when everyone's trying to make it seem as though, well, not everyone, we know who these people are, but they grew up in the era of Klinger. They grew up with Klinger, and now they have turned their backs on Klinger. But the degree to which it pulls no punches and makes no mistake that war is a crime and is always a crime against humanity, they'll never have that again. I mean, as it is, because they were showing the American people footage from the Vietnam War, it's like a lot of people believe, that's one of the main reasons that the Vietnam War was lost, because they lost a lot of support and morale because they were actually showing what was happening. And for MASH to take that to the next level, especially in the modern age where we just keep stuffing the Pentagon with money that sometimes they don't even want. No, a show like MASH will absolutely never happen again. And I think, that's most of what I was thinking about. I also wanted to give you guys kind of a blueprint of what I was thinking of. 2D animated films. Okay, like one might come out just for the sake of nostalgia, but you're never going to see a series of them, like just Don Bluth and then Disney back to back over and over again for years at a time. Will never happen.
Well, I definitely a huge shout out to Klinger. Though I'm sure that certain segment would be like he was trying to pretend he was mentally ill, Greg. But yeah, you're right. Klinger was there for all those years. And by the end of MASH, when it had gone on for a little while, he was out of drag. Like that was kind of the thing. He did start.
I remember.
He did start to straighten up and fly right when he took Radar's position over as the XO of the camp, if you will, even though that's an unofficial case.
Spoiler alert. He married a nice Korean girl.
He did. Yeah. And then they even made after MASH after that, and he went home. So there was a lot of things going on, a lot of things going on there. But boy, I forget, you're right. I mean, just to even the extent that MASH as its original concept is that dark comedy, going back
Mhm.
into the movie of the original movie, and where "Suicide is Painless" is sung several times with the lyrics, where
Mhm.
that it transitioned to the TV show. But and then the first 3-4 seasons of the TV show are going for maximum laughs, and they have a laugh track, and there's all these
Mhm.
things going on, and it's usually, how do we fuck Frank over, right? Because he's a total
Right.
dick, right? He's my douche roommate who I can't stand. He's a teetotaler. We've got a still in the place in our tent, and he's just totally this uptight son of a bitch who's still screwing around with his wife. Eh, and then, yeah, they slowly lose the laugh track, and they had to replace characters and all those things that going on. And it goes on longer than the actual Korean War, which is amazing when you really think about
True
it.
story. Yeah.
It is kind of wild when and there's that one episode where they did the entire year. I forget which year it's supposed to be, but they go through January with Potter, playing old man time, like retiring the year, and Klinger's actually the baby new year. And then, he's like, says, may she be a hell of a lot better than the last one and all that. And then it ends with the same speech. Right. And they,
Mhm.
and it's including, that's the year the Giants win the pennant, right? Or, all that. So as you say, it's the concepts that are never coming around again. So that's some gold right there, Greg.
I mean, especially for that time, it wasn't too long, relatively, after the actual Vietnam War.
No, it was not.
know?
It was really, yeah. And
Yeah,
I'm trying to remember when the movie came out in 77, I think 77, 78, around the same time Star Wars did, actually. So
Yeah.
it's not long after we've left Vietnam, right? And
Mhm.
this is the forgotten war we're talking about in between hand.
Yeah, and I mean, that's not to say that there weren't other shows and movies about Vietnam, mostly about Vietnam, actually. But the way that they are satirizing war the entire time, it was just too good. It'll never happen again.
With that, I want to step on up to the plate. I want to take my time. You gave me a lot to think about, Greg. It's always that I come in here with a plan, and I'm still going to stick to the plan. But because of what you just said, I do have to give a couple of honorary shout outs. Honorary shout out to Ralph Bakshi. You're never going to see that again, since you were talking about 2D animation. And here you were talking about rotoscoping, the idea when they would film live actors and then animate over it. That guy, I mean, that was really amazing. And to have taken the concept of the Lord of the Rings, which had been, which has now been done again in its grandest style. And some people, of course, people who are particularly fans of the books and every word of the book, don't necessarily love it. But he still, that was a hell of an undertaking, right? To take in the late 70s, again, just after Star Wars, to try and condense those films and to try and do that. And I still always love, and honestly, if you look at the orcs in the Lord of the Ring films that Peter Jackson did, they are very much stylized off of the orcs of those Ralph Bakshi films. And actually, there's a shot when Gollum, when Smeagol goes off the boat and is pulled in and finds the ring initially. That's 100% taken from the opening of the Ralph Bakshi film in 1978, where they did everything in shadow puppetry. That was all red screen with shadows, right? So many things that
And they were scary as hell.
Yeah, they were, and it was quite a leap forward. And again, just something you'd never see again, right? It's a technology that nowadays it'd be obsolete. But it was amazing to see someone take the leap at the time, right? And say, I can do this, and I'm going to do this using very simple technology, right? Shadow puppetry has been around for centuries. And to try and take that leap and to, push this idea onto the big screen and combine it with animation and combine it with rotoscoping and all that. So definitely a shout out to something there, kind of that indie spirit, and that taking those chances that we never see again. But what I really want to go back to something that we're never going to see again, or I feel that I've yet to see again in my lifetime. And it ties back into our last week's episode when we were talking about our advertising campaign. So I feel a little I feel a little self-conscious, but I couldn't help but think about it. I'm going to go to an advertising campaign that, to my mind, I don't know why, captured the ever-loving shit out of our imaginations in the 1980s. And that was the McDonald's Monopoly campaign. So try and stay with me, folks, because it's still here for some of the for a few Zoomers.
Shit.
For some of our Zoomers still listening. Yeah, they bring it back. It's still there. It's not the real Monopoly, kids. I don't know how to explain it to you. They're still fucking lying to you. It's not what we had. We had these little pieces that you could pull off and that you could stick to that Monopoly board, and you were fucking convinced that if you went out and you bought enough Big Macs or I was a quarter pound with cheese kid, and I looked like it too, by the way. This was back before supersizing. This was back before any of that shit. Quarter pounder with cheese, Royale with cheese. You were going in there and you were just convinced you could get that Monopoly set and you were going to win, and if you were, and all of us somehow always managed to find Park Place, but Boardwalk, never fucking there, right? You could get all these things and you were hoping maybe you could get the railroads, right? That was a couple grand right there. There was just something about the excitement that was ridiculous. Now, keep in mind, my mother knew damn well and actually ran a wellness and health company and still pretty much raised us on McDonald's. Okay. So we all knew better, but we were going there anyway. But somehow you got that game board, you got those pieces, you get those free fries every once in a while. But I want to peel back another layer of this onion for you. I want to tell you about a scam. I want to tell you about what was happening behind the scenes. And it involved myself, my friend Dan, who got a job just like Calvin. We were talking about last week. He had a job at McDonald's. And my friend Jeremy Ron, that was his first name. Yes, it wasn't Ron Jeremy. It was Jeremy Ron. Hyphenate. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe his parents had a sense of humor. Beats me. I don't know. I'm not even sure where he was. But Dan worked at the McDonald's. So what did he do? He grabbed a shit ton of all of those game pieces one year and just stuffed them in a big old plastic bag. And we were convinced, as we were sifting through, we were absolutely convinced that we were going to get one of these fucking Monopolies. we got tons of free fries. We got tons of free burgers and shakes and all that stuff. And still, always, we would get Orient Ave and Vermont Ave, right? But never the third critical piece that we needed, right? But goddamn, did we feel like, Danny Ocean, granted that movie had come out well before us and the remake was yet to come out, but Danny Ocean didn't have shit on us at that point in time, right? We were absolutely pulling off the scam of a lifetime, right? You might as well have been impersonating the police and pretending to sneak into that vault at that point in time. Well, for all of you listening who haven't seen it, please go to HBO and HBO Max, or is it just Max now? I don't know. Who knows? Which is just kind of funny. I know people named Max, so you've changed the name around enough. I can't even keep up with it. But if you ever get a chance, please, God, please go and watch the documentary McMillions, because it's fucking amazing. Because unbeknownst to us and this crew we put together, me standing on lookout by the drive-in, Jeremy Ron standing up the street checking to see if the cops were coming, and Dan stuffing all those pieces into his big old plastic trash bag. It was clear, by the way.
Idiots checking the camera.
Right. None of that. No, absolutely not. He had by the way, it was a clear plastic bag. I still remember that. I don't know why. It wasn't a green trash bag. It was clear. So you could see all the fucking pieces in there that Dan was stealing at the time. Unbeknownst to us, somebody else had that same fucking idea. And that someone else who had that idea was the guy put in charge of guarding all the winning pieces. And he would simply excuse himself, go to the bathroom, take all the winning pieces, replace them with something else, and where they were supposed to be delivered, he would know where they were going. He would then pick certain people to win the $1 million prize, and so forth and so on, they would have to pay the taxes. And then, of course, it turns out that the mafia guys he was having helping him out would show up and collect most of the rest of it and give a very small portion to the actual winner. You know, who knew after all this? We thought we were so clever. We thought we had this system so
You're
incredibly
not
rigged.
clever.
I mean, we had this idea, but we were thinking too small, right? We weren't in the production line. But what I guess I get back to that point is like that we wanted this so fucking bad. Right? And we were not the only ones. This guy who was put in charge, the head of security, was the one stealing these pieces and giving them out to other people. And he would give them out to other people and say, you get to win. People wanted it so badly and were so fascinated with this promotion, with this advertisement for shit food that we were all eating anyway. People 100% bought into it, even though it was immoral, even though in the end it turned out that they really weren't going to win the money, right? The mom got most of the money. A couple of the smaller prizes, I guess they could do it, but you lose half of it to taxes, right? So it was $1 million goes down to $500,000, and mom shows up 300,000. Maybe they got 100,000, 150,000, whatever their cut was, right? But still, the frenzy was still there, and the excitement was still there every year when McDonald's would bring around this fucking promotion to come out and get you to go to the store more. And it wasn't like my diet was not, I don't know, about 80% fucking McDonald's when I was a kid. So I just gotta tip my cap to them, right? That's something, maybe it's happened again. And maybe I'm just too old and I haven't noticed it. I'll take that. I'll accept that as a possibility. But boy, the sort of like weird thing that it just reaved into the culture. You had fast food, you had Monopoly, you had it all, right? And we all wanted a piece of it, man. We were all willing to go to any means necessary to try and get our piece. And God damn it, the three of us figured we had it rigged. And sure enough, someone beat us to the punch, motherfucker. So I'll retire from my 10 minutes of fame for the McDonald's Monopoly promotion. And I know it's back. I know it's here. It's not the same, kids. Well, it's just not
never
the same.
gone away.
It's never gone away. Yeah,
it's annual. It's annual. And also I think it should be a little more fair to your mom. We didn't really know anything about trans fat until the early 2000s, which is well after our childhood. So everyone, everyone was going to McDonald's. That's why they became the kingdom in which they are today.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's really fair to your mom.
And I think you guys should be more fair to yourself. That's still pretty damn clever. I mean, that's one of those ideas. Everybody was kind of wondering because they had quite a few problems with fraud.
Oh, totally.
So I remember it. Like they had a few problems with fraud. That's part of the reason why they've had to change the parameters so much. But I think
every McDonald's did that.
What's that?
Every McDonald's did what these geniuses did, which my second point.
My second point would be like a huge problem.
Yeah, and you got to love a group of 16 and 17-year-olds because none of them had an actual understanding of what the answer is going to be if they actually hit that million. Like, hey, so where'd you get these pieces? We won. No, but we won.
We won. Deer in the fucking headlights is what that would have been. We would have had
the first question would get you guys.
We weren't even that old. We were like, 14, 15. We're like
really lucky. My cousin is half Irish.
We had no clue. We had not the first fucking idea of
found
what
this
any
trash
of that
bag in the dumpster.
That probably would have been a step up from any of our answers. Okay, that would have been a story we could have stuck to for shit's sake. I mean, that's just the way that would have been.
That's like when I was. That was like when I was wrestling one of my friends on the bus, and I think it was middle school. It was right around the time I got kicked out. Speaking of going back to old episodes, and we accidentally kicked the window and broke it. And we legit tried to convince our bus driver that rock that he went past hit the ground, kicked up, it hit the bus. while we were traveling 35 miles per hour forward. This bus driver did everything possible to try to listen to us and believe us, because I swear to God, that man did not want to do paperwork so hard. He's like, you know what, fuck it. Yeah, I'll go with it. I'll go with it, man. You never seen when a rock hits something, it gets shot out and then it hits the ground and comes back? You never saw it? He's like, no. Yeah. Physically speaking, no, I have not.
I have not.
Well, that's how it broke. So
I live in the real world. Him. Well, yeah, I got to be honest. Good for him. Why would you want to? Somebody else can pay for that shit. I am not dealing with this shit. I'm just paid to get your ass home. So, all right.
And before you ask, he was not the bus driver. Actually, no, he was the bus driver. Kicked me out. It was Rocky. Damn, Rocky.
Rocco.
The fuck, Rocky?
Yeah, Rocco.
We were cool, Rocky,
we were cool. I got you.
We were cellmates. You got to come back.
It was Selly. Come on, man. We were Sellies. I got that whole rock thing scheduled. I figured out what you could tell them.
Yeah.
All right. Well, all right. With that, let's turn on over. Let's turn on over to the 3 of clubs. Let's see what kind of yarn he can spin for us today about how that window got broken, and talk to us about Welp. That happened because with an intro like that, I know this is going to be good.
Damn, I've walked into a few classes not having homework and ready for some bullshit, but this might be the cake, because I gotta tell you, I got nothing. I legit have nothing. My head is empty. It's been that kind of day. I couldn't focus on some of the stuff that has already been said, which is normally what I do when I got nothing, and just try to ride the coattails of my 2 co-hosts as best as possible. I do try to do that shit a decent amount. I could point out that I don't know if there's anything that we can really say that's never going to come back because of the term and the word nostalgia. Everything that's old is made new again, and everything that's new will be made old and repeat and rinse and keep going. You know, so we can point out things like fashion. I still remember my parents just looking at our generation and being like, why, of all the things from the 70s, you guys are trying to bring back bell bottoms like that? That just threw them off altogether. I feel like part of me would say that the interconnectivity of at least this country from the 70s, 80s, and early 90s, because of a lack of choice, will probably be hard to replicate. There are a lot of different intellectual properties that we all genuflect and think back on. But I would argue it's not always because we loved it so much. It was because we were sort of forced into those selection processes, to the point where more often than not, I would argue it's the environment that got created for going to see that movie, to going home to watch that TV show, sometimes a commercial or a music video, to listening to a song that, you know, frankly, most of the country didn't have much of a choice of, because it was one of the 10 songs that was being played on one of the 3 radio stations available. We look back at the 80s and 90s as if there was so much selection power, but in a lot of ways, there was very little. And a matter of fact, as you transverse away from the coast of this country and you really get into the middle of this country, there was far less. I remember my brother telling me how much he loved country, and I remember thinking, how the fuck did we get to this point? You are the person that introduced me to both NWA and The Clash. Where in the middle of that did we get to country? And he pointed out to me, it's like, look, man, when I drive from DC, where he was stationed, to Ohio, where his family was at the time, he's like, you're crossing the middle of the country. This is in the 90s, mid to late 90s. He's like, you're crossing the country. You're not going to get many radio stations, and a few that you're going to get are going to be country. You start listening to it and get used to it. So I see that point, and I would say that would be hard to replicate, in the sense because our selection power is so much stronger. That would be hard. But frankly, it's hard for me not to think that the one thing I hope kind of doesn't happen, because it was sincerely a period of what the fuck, is frankly the 80s. There's like the entire decade,
the whole thing
was just, I consistently look back at every single property that came out of the 80s, including some books, and I just wonder how much cocaine was done We look at the children's cartoons that were produced, and you don't even have to get into some of the deep content of some of these cartoons. You just start watching a few and you're like, wait a second, you guys position this to 8-year-olds? I'm not even sure this is okay for me at 43. Go ahead, Josh.
So much cocaine. Okay.
So much.
The writer of Alf was high on crack and crystal meth. Just go from there. There was so much.
Yeah, I really.
Carrie Fisher.
Well, yeah,
it's true.
We talked about that, and it was a weird combination of a very conservative outward approach to what our country was during the early to late 80s and frankly some parts of the early 90s. However, our internal side was a complete coked out shit show frat bro. That's basically what our entire country was. And I'll culminate that point by pointing out maybe the one thing that I can probably identify most likely would not ever come back. A moment in time where I would say even aliens were like, look, we can figure out the rest of humanity. This is just one little part. Like I feel like aliens are looking at us like Columbo. Like, I was good. I just have this one more question. And that question is lawn darts. What was going on with lawn darts? What was your plan? What was your action? What was your intended target? You mean to tell me that a group of people sat in a room and said, you know what we need kids doing? Throwing sharp objects at each other. Only for someone to bump a line, look up and like, oh, yeah, let's make it weighted. Let's make it super freaking heavy so they have to put all their effort into it and they just throw it as far as they can. Oh. And then someone else take their head off the 8 ball and they're like, actually, you know what? Let's go ahead and give them convoluted rules so they'll just absolutely ignore all that and just throw it at each other, which is exactly what happened. And frankly, after thousands of injuries and 3 reported children's death, they decided to actually hold back a little bit and maybe focus on other things. Now, of course, we had choking hazards throughout all the Happy Meals and little toys that we had left and right. If you're coming out of the 80s, most of us have some sort of lead poisoning because they thought it was good to put it on everything. Everything, and including. And I'm not even kidding, people, even including some food. We all had lead throughout our 80s, so that was a part. I mean, part of me wants to focus on, I talked about this before, but if I get into the 90s, part of me wants to focus on, there was a company, a store, a music store, that somehow pulled off making us spend money to buy a token, to use that token to buy more shit that normally wasn't enough money for us to buy that said item. And then we had to put more money into the token. I'm not talking about Dave & Buster's. No. No, I wish. I fucking wish I was talking about Dave & Buster's, which is a whole nother thing that we will most likely not see again, which is arcades. Talk about a ripoff there. People like me, and you got so much money from me, but no. I was actually talking about coconuts. I was talking about the music company that somehow figured out that, hey, if we can convince you that we will let you make your own CD, and that was in heavy air quotes, then what would you pay for it? Now they did a funny thing by doing this token system. I think it was like 10, 15, 25. You were the shit if you showed up at a 6th grade or 7th grade party and your birthday gift was a token. Like you were king shit. It was almost like it was your birthday party. Yeah. It was almost like it was your birthday party if you showed up with that. Like it was almost like, look at me. I'm the birthday boy now. That was basically what happened when you showed up with a coconut token. You put that bad boy down because what you're saying is, hey, man, I'm giving you power. But there was no fucking power to that because you go to coconuts, you give them that goddamn token. They're like, cool, $25. You need 10 more dollars to complete this mixed CD. So thankfully that shit's gone away because that got replaced with another era of time that I talked about, which I believe the quote was goddamn monsters, which was the individuals who were ahead of the curve, who had the giant computer towers that allowed them to burn CDs, which frankly, most likely, if I'm going to pick of all the things I talked about, probably isn't going to come back, mainly because there's no reason for it. I would say we were moving further into streamlining technology and media in that way to the point where you can argue what a lot of, sci-fi IPs have already argued. the next step is removing hardware. So we most likely will not see another period of time where we are taking material, putting it into hardware, trying to get data from that, and then taking said material and moving it into another piece of hardware, because most likely we're going to eliminate all of that hardware. Now I know what you're thinking. RaShaun, they had mini disc in Star Wars, and that was a super technological civilization.
Yeah.
True. Fucking dumb, but true. That was a long, long time ago.
In a galaxy far,
Far
away. Well, yeah. And it even links back into the Blade Runner universe, right? Where they sort of had that kind of analog, digital, pseudo stuff going on, but it was 2019 and everything else.
I forgive Blade Runner. I forgive everyone who, because if you're coming out in the 80s and the 90s, it makes sense. Like anyone who wants to watch Johnny Mnemonic, which is basically the prequel to The Matrix, no bullshit. Yep, you're gonna have to get over, or Strange. I think Strange Days. You're gonna have to get over the moments where they're talking about mini-disc and how important it is, or frankly, any sci-fi that came out in the late 80s, early 90s, because that was the technology that they could best envision. It wasn't necessarily what was around, although funny enough, we did end up having mini discs a lot faster than I think those sci-fi writers were ready to predict. But it wasn't so much that they're saying like this is the end all be all. It's just kind of like this is the best step that we can kind of imagine and move forward. My problem with Star Wars, since I did bring it up, was like, so let me get this straight. This is actually what made me almost walk out of the movie theater, and I was enjoying Rogue One up until this point. So let me get this straight. You guys figure out technology to envelop an entire planet with a shield. You have that technology, yet you still need a physical piece of material to transfer data. All right. Forget about the fact that we're already traveling galaxies by hyperspeed. Forget about all these other, far out technology things that I guess, sure, maybe generations back in the old Republic and, when the Jedi temples were still up or something 10,000 years ago. I don't know. Maybe it was different, but I kind of feel like if you're traveling in hyperspace and you got shields around the whole fucking planets, you should have developed a better way of sending and getting data.
So you're really saying it never gets past the cocaine nail. I mean, that's really the deal, right? It's a long time ago to galaxy far away. And Carrie Fisher's got to grow that one pinky nail extra long, right? It just...
I mean, I didn't spend a lot of time on 80s cartoons, but I defy anyone to watch any 80s cartoons more than 2 episodes of any particular show and not think there was definitely at least 2 or 3 people in that writing room / executive producing room that were so freaking blitzed on cocaine they made Scarface pause.
Oh my God, yes. Yeah, no, I can't. There's just no argument there for you. I got no argument for you, 3 Clubs. You're it happened, and that was the least of it, which is what's kind of truly frightening and impressive. And they gave us our cartoons, and that made us happy. Damn it. Well, guys, that was absolutely sublime. That was wonderful, guys. I am tickled pink. I am so pleased with what we brought back about those things that maybe we see them again, but I don't think so. I just think it seems like it was a moment in time. It seems unlikely to replicate itself. So I think
especially because he kind of touched on technology, like there's definitely a lot that we're never going to see again. Some people, people get nostalgic. I even heard that like Disney VHSs are worth money again. Some people, I know, right? Netflix, but Netflix isn't even mailing CDs anymore, and right. Especially like Blockbuster and music chains. Yeah, no.
Oh God. Yeah, oh yeah,
that won't ever happen again.
Well, I grew up. I think all of us grew up playing video games. In pecking order, I would probably say I'm a little bit higher than the two of you guys, just off of the ability of being able to play more video games, considering both you guys are nice parents. And frankly, my age was kind of in step with the evolution of video games a little bit more. So while you guys were out there being, cool teenagers, I was still a punk kid with nothing else to do. So I'm bringing all that up because I remember the progression of the bits as I got older, and in the excitement and the fur and like the love and this sort of thought of never going back. So going from Atari to 8-bit, it's like, oh my God, here we go. This is awesome. And 8 to 16, and then 16 and 32, 32X, fuck you. And then to 64. Yes, I was one of the people that got it. And then the 64. And then like once you hit 64, it's like, man, we're never turning the corner. It's always gonna be awesome. And we've gotten to the point where we're damn near photorealistic. Yet some of the most popular games and some of the games that actually won Game of the Year last year or in running for the category were 8-bit games.
There you go. So everything old is indeed new again.
Yeah, 8-bit games, side scrollers.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
No.
Side scrollers.
Yep. I've been getting into Dead Cells. I've been playing Neon Abyss, which, by the way, don't ask me where I am with work. So.
Super Mario Brothers made $1 billion
realized
so far already. Right? The year is still young.
I have to give them this, although shout out to Piracy. I did not jump in on this, but I did follow the person who did put it on Twitter. I came close to watching it. I came close. I did. But I have to give him this. From what I understand from the story, and this will ultimately make me watch it, because I was kind of anti it for a lot of different reasons. Apparently, this is going to be a spoiler alert, but if you're here, you don't care. Apparently, the way they play off the fact that it's not the sort of voice or accent that we're looking for is because they make a good story point. I got to give it to them. This is pretty clever. They make it that they only did that for like a commercial series, which harkens back to our last episode, part of the reason why I'm bringing it up. And that, frankly, they're just two guys with normal voices, dressed a little weird.
Yeah.
That's a little out there, you know,
but
they're like, that's kind of like how they took care of the voice thing. And I got to say, if all the properties that have to take care of something legacy like that, it's pretty fucking good. I got to give it to them.
All right. Well, with that, let's
Not you, Vin Diesel. Not you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, Vin.
Work not harder, today, dude. Devil.
He's gonna make that man. He's gonna make the 4th Riddick film. I'm telling you. Greg, what do you got going on for the rest of the week? What's happening with you?
Oh, it's a pretty normal week, man. We're starting to unpack for summer.
All right.
Bring on the summer things.
Dig it. I love it. Bring on the summertime dream, without a doubt. All right. RaShaun, what you got going on?
You guys make me feel so irresponsible. I mean, Greg is always doing responsible house stuff. I've been listening to our episodes left and right. Like every other episode, Greg has something responsible homeowner type activity that he's doing. Shit that you see in like at the end of Home Depot commercials when they're done like putting together all their little home projects. And they got a bunch of people over and it's like this cool outdoor deck and shit. You know, all that. Josh is Mr. Super Dad. He's got hockey playing son. He's got cross country son. You know, they're all keeping cool, all happy, all these different things. You know, he's moving houses, all that. What's my answer? I'm fucking gonna get hammered because it's gonna be Cinco de Mayo, and I appreciate misrepresenting any cause to drink because I'm from Massachusetts and I'm American, so it's my fucking right to get hammered. It's May the 4th. I'm gonna get hammered and play a shitload of Star Wars games. What?
Well, fuck yeah! All right. Firstly, you have my full support and love in doing that, so you go with your bad self and absolutely abscond and misrepresent any part of the culture you need to. So thank you, RaShaun, for doing
this
that.
weekend is going to be that gif of whatchamacallit, Darth Vader. I think he's at Disneyland, but Darth Vader is wearing a sombrero and he's shaking the maracas. That's my weekend.
That's it. No, I think that's a good. That's hashtag goals.
I plan on getting so drunk I might try to force pull a candle. It's not gonna work. It's not gonna work.
Wait, when do you?
I fucking hope it doesn't work. I don't want to live in a world where I actually know I have that power.
Come on, man. Right? Just RaShaun, if it makes you feel any better, I'm just this weekend will be really trying to just hold this shit show together as the countdown comes and we've barely packed any boxes and we're all stressed to the gills, both myself, my wife, and now my kids who are like, holy shit, we got to be out of this place soon. And yeah, how's that going to happen? And our house isn't even finished. So yeah, I mean, if it makes you feel any better, that's my weekend. And my wife is gratefully going to be up celebrating the people that she teaches for graduation. So I will be just trying to navigate getting both their kids to their soccer game and trying not to, like I say, try to keep this barely controlled shit show on the rails. So just, I'm like any other, American dad trying to pretend like it's all okay.
Point out to our listeners, my wife will be responsible. She'll be doing responsible adult things throughout this weekend to make sure, I'm alive and sustained. But me, no, I'm a freaking 43-year-old child. It's about to get real ugly in here.
We all know Sarah's the responsible one. There was no doubt about that.
I know. Wait, when's Sarah getting drunk?
Most likely Friday. She'll have a margarita. She'll have a drink with me maybe Thursday, but Friday we're getting margarita. So feel free to swing by, boys.
All right, we'll put that on there. While you're out there enjoying your Cinco de Mayo, be it in Boston or any other part of the country, make sure to swing on by our socials. We are the Steam Gentleman Podcast on Facebook and Do You Even Steam Bro on Instagram and the Steam G's on Twitter until Elon gets pissed at us and thinks we're part of the woke mind virus and then kicks us off. Whatever. I don't give a shit. And we're not ever gonna pay for that stupid blue check. So that shit ain't happening. Like that's never gonna happen. But as we go on and go forward, I definitely want to tell you, I want you to, be good to each other, love each other, keep watching your pop culture, definitely keep your head up and keep your head of steam on. But I want to leave you with this little thought. If you could read my mind, love, what a tale my thoughts would tell. Just like an old time movie about a ghost from a wishing well, in a castle dark or a fortress strong with chains upon my feet. You know that ghost is me. Oh, Gordon, I'm going to miss you, man. I'm definitely going to miss you, but I want you to do that. I want you to head on out. I want you to keep that heat up and keep that head of steam on.
We're not going to karaoke.
We are going to karaoke. That shit's happening. That shit is happening.